I'm singing in the rain, just singing in the rain. Oh, what a wonderful feeling. I'm singing in the rain. Enjoy the show! Hey guys, welcome back to Creatures, Caverns, and Crafting. In front of me I have a pile of trash. I'm just teasing guys, this is what I'm going to be using for our next craft project. We're going to use a little bit of cardboard. We're also going to use some leftover sprue. Just goes to show, don't throw it out. Also have some foil. As you can tell, this has been wadded up for texturing. I'm also going to use some of this packaging plastic paper. If you don't have this, you could probably use maybe a plastic bag or maybe a garbage bag, but this is perfect. Also, some thin cardstock. You can get this off the back of packages. This is real good stuff. And I'm also going to print off some signs. You don't have to do this, but it might make things a lot easier. This is a foam sheet. You can get this off of Amazon for pretty cheap or at your craft store. Also, I'm going to use a utility knife and a little bit of Gorilla Super Glue. Also, I've got some wood glue, and we're going to use a pair of, maybe if I can find it, scissors. There we go. Alright guys, let's get to crafting. Alright guys, to start off with, I'm going to just take some scissors here, and I'm going to cut out some of that thin cardstock. Now what I'm doing is I'm using a miniature just to kind of gauge the scale I want to go for. If you're using like heroic scale, you might want to go bigger, or if you're using something smaller, of course smaller. Now I'm going to take a little bit of that Gorilla Super Glue, and I'm just going to pull a little bit down on the cardstock like so. And just make sure we dab it in. And as you might have noticed, I have some foil here that I've kind of wadded up into the shape of a body, and this is what I'm going to put onto the glue. Get a little bit more glue down on there, make sure it's nice and secure. And I'm just going to kind of put that on like so. Stick it down. It should stick pretty fast. And then of course I've got a smaller piece, and this is going to be our head. I'm just going to kind of put that down as well, and we're going to let that dry. Now that our super glue has dried, we're going to go ahead and take a piece of that plastic paper. And remember, if you don't have this, you can use something like a garbage bag. And we want to kind of decide what side we want to use. I'm going to use this white side. And we're going to start putting some Gorilla Glue on the top of this cardstock and foil. Now you can start at the back if that works better for you. This is kind of trial and error. But what I want to do is kind of keep this close to the body form as possible. Because what we're going to do is we're going to stretch the plastic paper over there, and we want that impression of a body underneath. We're creating body bags, if you haven't guessed by now. Alright, I think we have enough on there, and we're going to go ahead and proceed with putting the plastic around the form. Now, a couple of things to note here. Whenever I'm pressing the plastic down, I don't want to force it on top of the aluminum foil too much. If we do that, we can poke through the plastic. So just let the plastic work around the foil as much as possible. You don't want it roughed. And of course, once we have the top, we'll just go ahead and fold this around to the back. And I put some glue on the back here as well. Get that to stick down. It should grab, and then we'll take the other end and just wrap it over like a present. Of course, we'll put some glue there as well on the other end, and we'll move on to cutting the excess. And here's our body bags. Notice I've trimmed off the excess, and I've also added these signs. Remember earlier we had the signs that we printed out. We want to go for the smallest we can. There's just a nice biohazard sign. So now we're going to move on to utilizing some sprue, and what we're going to make with this is a decontamination tent. Now what I want to do is focus pretty much on the corner pieces. I'm just going to cut out one piece and kind of use it to measure the other. And of course we're going to use a pair of cutters. You could use maybe a utility knife if you don't have this. And once we have this cut out, we're also going to go ahead and start removing those small sprue bits. Now you can sweep those up, keep them in a box for later use. You can always find a use for sprue, so don't throw these away unless you absolutely want to, just to declutter. I'm going to take the sprue, and as you can notice, I've also cut out several other pieces, and I've tried to trim those up as much as I can. You can take a utility knife and do that as well, or maybe some sandpaper if you want to get them down just smooth as possible. However, I'm going to kind of go with this a little rough. I'm going to be covering it, and I'm going to take some glue and just put this on the sprue like so and attach these together, and we'll let those dry. Now I'm going to take that cardboard from earlier, and I'm going to use a little hot glue. I am going to drill a hole in the cardboard and punch these through just so that they have a little bit more support. And here we have our sprue put together. Notice I did put a centerpiece on both sides. And now we'll move on to our next step. I'm going to take our packaging paper from before and start feeding this up through the sprue. I'm going to use that Gorilla Glue to adhere it, and I'm going to trim any excess using some scissors. Next, I'm just going to take some black craft paint and paint out the cardboard below. And here's our tent so far. Now I'm going to take some more of the packaging paper, and I'm going to start to wrap this up on the sides of the sprue. That's going to cover things up. That's why I didn't go into great detail of smoothing this down or cutting it with a razor. And you can easily just use some glue to fasten everything down, or you can use some clear tape. It doesn't matter. However you get it fastened down. You can even use string if you want to. I'm going to start cutting some strips out of the foam sheets. It helps if you use kind of a guide and if you have a steel ruler, so just keep that in mind. Don't have to be perfectly straight, but you do want to kind of keep these about the same size. I'm going to start taking those strips of foam sheeting, and I'm going to just put them to the sides of the sprue and fasten them down using that Gorilla Glue. Now this is really easy. You just kind of put it on like so, and you can cut off the excess. If you want to do joints, you can kind of cut them in angles. This is very forgiving and very easy to do. We're going to do this all over the tent. Another thing that I like to do is just take one of the strips and put them in the middle like so. And again, you can glue this down and just trim off the excess. And as you can see here, I've added more strips to the tent, and I've pretty much covered up all the sprue. I will add some more here to the inside. This just kind of trims things out. Now I'm going to take some hazard striping and some wood glue. I cut this from our printed signs from earlier, and I'm just going to stick this down onto the cardboard where the wood glue is at. Just kind of try to line this up as best way you can. You want it semi-straight. And we'll just press in. And I would use wood glue or Elmer's glue for this. You don't want to use super glue. Super glue, you won't be able to move it around if it gets off. And once we have that, again, we're just going to cut off the excess cardboard and the paper. So our last steps are we're going to go ahead and take some more of this stripping, and we're just going to go ahead and trim everything out. We're also going to take some of that black craft paint and paint the exposed cardboard. Once we're done with this, everything will look very nice and clean. Let's go take a look at this on the table, guys.
I like my neighborhood. We have playground equipment and lots of kids my age to play with. One day, the police and firemen came to my neighborhood with horns and pretty lights. It's fun to watch, but Daddy said we couldn't go outside to play anymore. Did you know that a blow-up play tent was put up? It looked so fun. I was very sad when Daddy wouldn't let me go out and play in it. The playhouse has so many cool things, like clowns that walk funny, and presents too. I can't wait to sneak out and play. Shh, don't tell anyone, because I could get in trouble with Daddy.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. Looks like we're putting on more subscribers, which tells me I'm doing my job right. Anytime I can provide interesting content and I get subscribers, that tells me I'm doing something right. Greatly appreciate all the viewerships, all the comments. If you haven't already, think about subscribing. More importantly, share this video with someone that might like this type of craft. Guys, I want to give a quick shout out to a few other YouTubers out there. Excellent crafting videos. Please check them out. Earthmanbricks, Budget Scenery Workshop, Cyber Haggis, Hacksaw Hobby Bunker, Chimera Wargaming, and Monster Boy Crafts. All of them have really great tutorials, really great crafting videos, and some excellent music. Y'all stay safe. We'll catch you next week. Goodbye.